Good morning on this wet and chilly morning. It is when I'm recording this live, and welcome to another Daily Creativity. This one is Daily Creativity number 30, and I thought I would get super duper out of my comfort zone creative. I'm going messy. I've chosen some colors and I'm going messy creating background paper. Just move my hair out the way. Awesome. For those of you who are watching live, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm so glad you caught me on the live. If you've got questions, pop them in the comments. Might not see them as we're going live. Hi, Michelle. If you're watching on the replay, also let me know that you're watching #replay. I'd love to see some thumbs up and some love hearts. Yes, Michelle, I am getting messy today. If you're watching on YouTube, these videos do all go over to YouTube eventually. Let me know what you think. You can give me a thumbs up, share the video, whatever you like. But let's get into it. Enough of the preamble. So today what I'm doing is, as I mentioned, making background paper. You can take white cardstock and turn it into whatever colour you want. You can use a full sheet, you can use bits of sheets. Just let your imagination go wild. If you're using a full sheet of 12 by 12, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily scrapbooking. You can also mess up this paper, let's call it what it is, and then cut it down to the sizes that you want for cards or whatever. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going to put this aside for a minute. I watched and played around with one technique where you chose all the same colours, but I'm going to push myself even further today, and I've actually chosen colours of the rainbow because I have no idea what I'm doing with this page. So I'm not showing you the finished, no, I'm not going to show you what I did first of all. I'm going to show you the process. So I'm starting with the first colour of the rainbow, which is Candy Apple. And what you need is some ink. You don't really need any more than one colour, but you do need some ink. You need some sort of sprayer. Now I've got the very oldly retired, close to my heart spritzer. But even if you've just got a spray bottle that sprays a fine mist, you do need that. And obviously you need some paper. That's all you need. What I've also got though is I've also got this stamp. It's a fantastic stamp. If you don't have it, make sure that you grab it. It is D2051 Perfectly Imperfect Patterns. And I've used this on some other videos this month as well. So I have got this. Naturally, if I've got a stamp, I do need blocks. So I've got a couple of 2-inch blocks and a 1-inch block. And then I've got a couple of products just sitting in the sideline. If I get a chance, I will share them as well. So I'm going to start with the first colour of the rainbow, which is red. And I'm going to, oh, the other thing you do need, sorry, is you do need an all-purpose mat or an easy to clean surface. Now the all-purpose mat is great because it's slidey as well. So, and you need some paper towel. I always forget, I've got paper towel over there. All right, so I'm taking my ink pad and I'm just going to do this with my ink pad and put a bit of a swash on there. Then I'm taking my spritz and I'm going to just spritz this. Now, depending on how far away or close you stand will determine how big or small the water droplets that hit your ink turn out, and that will in turn determine the finished product. So then you take your paper and you put it down. Now I'm thinking this will go over 2 pages, so I'm going to go red, orange, yellow, green is the middle colour. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. 7, so 3, 4, yep. So I need to leave enough room for it to be green on the outside. So I'm going to start with red on this side, and you can lay your paper down like this and you get that effect, or you can swish it like this and you get that effect. But whichever way you choose to do it, that is how you do it. So all I'm doing is I'm picking up colour onto my paper using that method. All right, now there's not much colour left on there, which is good. So now I'm going to take my paper towel, which I only have 1 piece left, and I'm going to clean that off. And that's really important, to clean that off between your colours, because otherwise you're going to put ink, one colour of ink into your next ink pad. So that was my red. There's my red. Next I'm going to do orange. My paper is going to get reasonably wet, so it will take a little while to dry. And I'm just trying some different patterns with this. There's my orange, and again, spritz with water. The more water you put down, also, the lighter it will be on your paper. So there is my red. Then I want some orange. And I need to keep in mind too that my photos are going to cover some of this. So this is what the orange is turning out like. And you've got these little dots and all sorts of things. How cool is that looking? Are you enjoying that? The more water you put on your all-purpose mat, obviously the wetter your paper is going to get as well. Now I want to get some more into here. So I'm just going to do that. That's looking lovely. And it's supposed to be just however it turns out. I will not be able to replicate this on another piece of cardstock. It just turns out totally unique. You are creating your own unique paper, which is lovely. So there we go. Now I don't need to fill in all the gaps because realistically I'm doing card making. I'm doing scrapbooking this month, and so some of these gaps will be covered by my photos. And one of the inspirations, one of the areas I got the inspiration for this paper was from the Fresh Paint scrapbooking workshop kit. There is a layout in that where they've done the colours of the rainbow across the page, and they've splattered in the different colours, and then they've got a photo mat in the different colours of the rainbow with different photos on it. So that's actually where I've got my inspiration from. You can pull your inspiration from all sorts of areas. So my next one is going to be Lemonade, or the yellow. And I'm not expecting this to show up terribly dark. So I want to make sure that I put down lots and lots of this ink. That's lots. Beautiful. Again, spritz with some water. I'm not going to spritz as much water on this one, and remembering that I also want the green just to come on this edge, and then I'll carry the green onto the other page as well. So then we're going to go yellow, and I'm just going to come across like this. Hopefully that's worked. It has. Beautiful. Put some in there. And you can see there is no control. I have absolutely no control over this. But because I've done this before, I'm not too stressed about it. Flip it over. Let's fill in that gap there. And it's looking pretty amazing. I'm actually quite happy with how this is working. That'll do. The other thing is, once I come to stamping, you'll see that I can also fill in some gaps that way as well. Now, you might have noticed that in between the colours, I wipe it with my paper towel, and then I do spritz it again, because although I've wiped it with the paper towel, I find that even after I spritz, I still pick up a bit of colour. So I've got red, orange, yellow. My next colour is green. No idea if this green's going to work, but do you know what? Doesn't matter. So I'm going to do green. I figure they're all fairly bright colours. And we spritz. And my spritzer is running out of water. But again, that's okay. And I just really want the edge of my paper. Look at that. Amazing. And my fingers aren't even getting dirty. Yay for me. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock. Which I need to find it over here. And do the edge of this one. And I'm going to do a similar sort of just like that. So it's going red, orange, yellow, green, and then it goes into blue. Now that's getting fairly dark, and that's okay. I might just give it another spritz, see if I can't pick up any more of that. This is now emptied, so with my spritz I just can take the lid off, grab my drink bottle. It's only plain water, you don't need anything fancy, and you really don't use much water at all with this method. So just quickly fill that up, make sure I put my lid back on my drink bottle. The one thing I found is I really need to not fill my spritzer up to the very top, because otherwise when I put the little tubey in, it overflows, and that's never a good thing. Okay. So now I've got some speckles on there as well. Speckles down the bottom, and then do a swipe. Beautiful. So I wipe this off, and I can see there's quite a bit of the green left on there. I did need more than one piece of paper towel. Thank the Lord for Viva paper towel. I'll tell you what. I'll clean that off again. Lots. Okay, so green is done. Next is blue. And you can add as many colours and whatever colours you like to your project. At the end of this, I will show you the one that I did where I only used blue. So I just picked different blues, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. I have 3 colours left, so I just need to be aware. Wow, I love the colour blue. Yes, so I will show you that, and another final look. I know what I'm saying, I'm just trying to concentrate at the same time. So there's my blue. That would actually make a really good water feature. Maybe not the green, but the blue. And it doesn't always turn out the same. With this one, I am trying to get layers like this, but my other one, I haven't. The other one, I have just done sort of patches. I'm just going to come across and do that. Try and pick up some more of that ink. Go. I'd love your feedback on some of the things you would like to see. Please don't ask me to be too messy. Michelle, you like how this looks, already getting some ideas. Fantastic. That is the whole idea of these videos, is to give people some ideas and to just inspire creativity. Rhonda, cannot wait till my craft room comes together. This looks like so much fun. Oh, it is. And what I've found is that it doesn't require me to be to get too messy. Now, as I said, it doesn't matter how you put that on. This is my indigo. I always thought that indigo was a purple, and then I realised, sorry, I've just spritzed the wrong way. Then I realised that it's not, it's actually a dark blue. There you go. But yeah, I love this technique because it doesn't make me too dirty, which is really good. And again, I'm just going to pop that down roughly about there. I don't want it to go all the way to the edge because I still have my purple to go. And I'll just flip that over so you can see. Look at that. It's so lovely. And then I'm just interested to see what happens with that edge, because the edge I did on a bit of a swirl, and yep, it ended up turning out. So there you go. It's another bit of a technique that I've just discovered. All right, and I'm happy to do the last bit and just fill in the last bit with my purple, which I'm using Grape. It was really grape, actually, that I could use this dark blue. So I've used Sapphire there because our purples, we've really only got a couple of purples, and that's the Wisteria, which is quite light, and the Grape. Now, the Wisteria, I didn't feel really went next to my Capri that I used here. Whereas by putting my Indigo in here, using Sapphire, my Grape will then work really well because they're both that darker hue of colour. Now this one does need to be a bit wider, and I'm also just going to test if I do it top all the way down to the bottom. Pretty sure this is a 14-inch mat. That doesn't make any difference pouncing. I should be able to get the whole piece in. So let's try this. As I said, any spritzer will do. You don't need a little spritzer. You can use, you know, one from your supermarket would be fine as well. Right, now I want to just kind of drag that. That was fairly wet and fairly full on, Charlotte. And that's okay. Right, so I do want to fill that in there. And the paper will buckle. Oh, that's amazing. There you go. The paper will buckle. Do not worry about that. If you're cutting this up for cards, or even if you're cutting it up for scrapbooking, then you're sticking it down on a base page anyway. So don't worry too much about it buckling. You can always put it underneath something heavy, you know, heavy book or something, and try and flatten it out like that. It will flatten out a little bit, but I can't imagine that it'll flatten out too much. But again, you will be then, if you're scrapbooking it and using it as a whole piece, you will be using it to, that's not going to soak that up. You will be using it, you'll be putting it in a memory protector. So it'll hold it flat, and also the other bits and pieces will hold it flat as well with adhesive and what have you. I'm looking for a bin. Where's my bin? There's my bin. All right, so that's gone in the bin. So there we have my 2 pages and my rainbow. That will look amazing next to each other. Now, I can use them as full pieces, or I can trim them off and use them across the top and across the bottom on a couple of pieces, and then maybe use some on cards or what have you. So that's them finished. Now, just to let you know what colours I used here, I've used Candy Apple, Nectarine, Lemonade, Clover, Capri, Sapphire and Grape. And I'm super happy. Now, if you choose just to use, say, for instance, a mixture of blues, which I did here, and please don't ask me what blues I used, this is another way it turns out. I have used a second product on here that you can see, and that is the Diana Wakley Media Gloss Spray. I've used the Gilt one, which is, I don't know why they call it Gilt, but it's actually gold, and I'm not sure if, yeah, see how that shines? It's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to show you on these pages, because I also had the white, the gloss white, which I wanted to use on these pages. I didn't have them when I was doing these pages. So I'm going to show you the gloss white as well. I use one of the pizza boxes from Close to My Heart. This is a delivery box, okay, but it's about the size of a pizza, and I just find that it holds all the mess inside. So I'm opening that up. I've got just a piece of paper down the bottom. Don't have to have anything in there, but I have put a piece of paper down the bottom. and I'm going to pop my page inside this. Now, with these, I heard somebody say don't shake them, because what it does is it forces the ink up into the nozzle, and the nozzle does clog up very, very easily. So just twist them. There should be a ball bearing in these. Now, sometimes there is no ball bearing and you won't hear the little clunk, but mine's just starting to clunk now. Hopefully you can hear that. So we just want that to shake up, because what happens is all of the ink settles to the bottom. Let me show you on this one. So you can see up here, the plastic is clear. And if I turn that upside down, all of the gold is at the bottom. So if I shake that side to side, not up and down, so I'm shaking it side to side, and I turn it upside down, you can see it's starting to clear. So there's a tip if you end up getting these. As I said, they're the Diana Wakley Media Gloss sprays. These are amazing things. When you use them wet, they don't go together. So whereas if you were to use the inks together at the same time, they'll meld together and they'll go all murky and they'll just end up all brown. These don't. They actually stay separate. But as I said, I didn't have these when I was doing my project, so I couldn't. Right, so this is clean. I haven't actually used the spray on this yet. And all you do is, I think you're supposed to actually put it up like this. But just do this. Put a good glob on there, and then I've just blown that. Now you can also make it drip if you put enough on there. And the effect that these give is this sort of mottled look, and then you get some drippies as well. And I'm getting it all over my fingers. One of the tips that I was taught when I was watching this video is you put 3 or an odd number of whatever you're doing on your page. So that's what I'm going to do now, and already that's starting to block up. That's how quick it is, seriously. So the other thing you can do if you get a blocked nozzle, very annoying, is you can just tip it onto your page. So I'm going to do that for the purpose of doing this particular video. And I have also used this on a page where I just used the tubey bit and splashed it on my page. So I'm just going to shake that around, and then I'm going to blow. It's not exactly how I want it, but that's right. It's just random. Do you know what I mean? Just random. A little bit disappointing. I haven't got the spray anymore, but that's okay. This is my other page that I did. And again, I'm going to put a couple on here. I'm not going to put quite as much. That's better. And I'm just going to have to excuse my head. Just splatter. It's a bit like a splatter, and it's very much like the fresh paint paper that we have at the moment. I could also get a straw if I had one, but I don't, so that'll do. Now I'm not going to do this on my other page because it's still quite wet, but what I do want to show you is, the other thing I did with these pages is, see all of these little dots? That is not me splattering, let's put that in a safe place. That's not me splattering with my inks. It's using this stamp right here. So let me grab my, I do want this. I do want this, and I'm going to put a little bit of water on this just to wet it, so I can clean this damps off after I've shown you. So I'm going to show you, just say for instance, let's start with the red. I'll grab my candy apple, And my beautiful stamps. And if you don't like messiness, then you can simply use these stamps because they are awesome. Now it doesn't matter that I don't have any squishy underneath me, so I could grab this is an all-purpose mat. I could grab my Versamat or the sponge that comes with the stamp set, but because this is a really grungy page, I'm not going to. I'm just going to do some stamping. Make sure you twist your stamp as you do it so it doesn't look the same all the time. I do need some scratch paper, which I've just got to the side, just to wipe that off, and then I'll clean my stamp on this. And I can go in ahead and do the next colour. So pop some nectarine in there. And it just gives it another dimension, just total other dimension. Next is Lemonade, and this is where we can really come in and fill in those white gaps. So if you have white gaps on your project, it's actually almost better because it doesn't stand out as much as that, which I think is not a bad thing at all. So then, just while we've got this particular stamp mounted, I may as well go and do the clover as well. And I can also do, that's why we put lid on our drink bottle, second generation. So here's second generation, and that's just where I have inked up my stamp, I've stamped it off on scratch paper, and then I've come in and stamped it on my paper. So that might have looked better for those, but I'm not that fussed because I'm not. All right, the other thing I'm going to do is match these two pieces together and do a first generation stamp between the two pages. So I'm just going to do that, and then if I do happen to use those two pieces together like that, I'll have that continuity of scrapbooking. All right, so I've put a couple on there. I just want one more first generation, maybe down the bottom. And again, I want to make sure that my stamp is not stamped twice in the same direction. And then while I've got the green, I'm just going to quickly do some on here. So the other way of doing second generation is to do it after you've stamped your first generation. Okay, so let's go first generation, second generation, and then I've done my 3 on there. Stamp that off and clean it off. Okay, the other thing is where there is white patches, so we've got a little bit of white down here. Charlotte's being a bit OCD with putting her stamp back on the block. Okay, that's great. I can grab one of these stamps, and this is more of a kind of a block stamp. Again, this one doesn't matter if it doesn't fit onto my block as such. And what I can do, I've already noticed that this is a bit dark for this particular page, so I'm not going to do first generation with this stamp. I will take it back down to second generation. So I've stamped it off, and then I can just do that. And again, it'll give just a different texture to my page. Let's bring this across again. Stamp that over too. And then even stamp down here just to fill that in a little bit. I can use some of the other stamps as well. Let's do this one. So we're just going to fill in that bit there, as well as this bit up there. All clean this one off, and then you just keep going and keep building and have fun. I want to clean that off really well because I'm going to come in and do a little bit of the yellow just to fill in these white gaps here. And I need to see if I can do the full yellow, which I think I'm going to be able to. Just clean that off on my arm. Let's go full yellow in there. There you go, beautiful. And there. And remember to move your block around so it doesn't look like you've actually stamped in there. And I'm getting a hole in the middle because I don't have a squishy underneath. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I do need one more, and let's just bring that off the page there. There we go. We'll do somebody forgot to put their phone on silent. Do some of the nectarine. And this one I know, having a look at that, I know that I do need to take it back to second generation stamping. That's not even working. That's better. But I do want to fill in some of these gaps. There we go. I hope everybody who's watching has been well. We're heading into that colder weather. A little bit wintry, a few bugs flying around, and I'm not talking the COVID type. So hopefully everybody is well and their families as well. And also hopefully you get some time to do some paper crafting, because it can be so much fun. Even if you don't like getting messy, it can still be fun. And I wouldn't say this is too messy. I've got a little bit of white on my hands, which, yeah, I can deal with that. Again, with the red, I know that this is first generation is going to be way too heavy for that colour. So I'm going to stamp it off a couple of times, and we're actually going to go down to third generation. So again, first generation is where you ink it and stamp it. Second generation is where you ink it, stamp off, and then stamp. That's second generation. And third generation is where you've inked it, stamp off again, and then it's the third time that you actually apply that colour. So that's third generation. If I use this again down here, that is now fourth generation, and I'm still getting a little bit of colour. So I'll do another stamp. Just up here in the middle of there, just to give it a bit more colour in there. And one more, just so I've got my 3, and this time I'm not going to do it in a straight line. And I'm also going to turn that around, and I'm just going to overlap with this orange one that I stamped earlier. So there we have it. All right, there's so much more that I could do with this page, and will be. And then when I'm finished, I will post a picture on this page so that you can see. But let's have a look at the 2 pages together, and we can also have a look at how my blue pages are going. So there's 1, there's 2, and how much fun are they? Absolutely gorgeous. These ones are still drying. Well, I have 1 and 2, and once they're dry, I'll decide if I'm going to use them for scrapbooking, if I'm going to cut them up and use them for card making or just highlights on a scrapbook, or if they're going to go back on my shelf. Very messy work, but lots of fun. I hope you've enjoyed watching this really fun workshop. I am absolutely loving how this has turned out, and I'm looking forward to creating something fun with this. I hope you have a lovely day. Stay dry in this wet weather. Victoria, it's wet anyway. I am going to sign off now. I will finish these pages, as I said, and post them. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. But for now, stay safe, keep crafting, and bye-bye.